Yeah. गुड मॉर्निंग डैलस बोलता हुआ और गुड इवनिंग हमारा भारत या इंडिया बोलते हुए आपका दोस्त, आपका होस्ट राजीव कुलकर्णी फिर एक बार आपको भारत अन्वेषण में स्वागत करता हुआ। आज का दिन है सितंबर 10th 2023। आपको थोड़ा सा लग रहा होगा ये कुछ अलग ही दिख रहा है आज बैकग्राउंड में, लेकिन उसका मैं रीजन बताता हूँ थोड़ी देर में। लेकिन उसके पहले हर इतवार को जो हम ये भारत अन्वेषण शुरू करते हैं, एक अपना भगवान का नाम लेके शुरू करते हैं। आज भी हम भगवान का नाम लेके ये कार्यक्रम शुरू करते हैं। आपको ऑलरेडी पता है कि आज का टॉपिक क्या है, क्योंकि हम पोस्टर में ऑलरेडी आपको बता चुके हैं, एंड प्लस यूट्यूब लिंक में भी हमेशा हम उसके बारे में लिखते हैं। चलिए भगवान को याद करता हुआ आज का ये कार्यक्रम शुरू करेंगे। भारत अन्वेषण में आप सबका स्वागत करता हुआ आपका दोस्त राजीव कुलकर्णी फिर एक बार।
गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि। गानचतुराय गानप्राणाय गानान्तरात्मने गानोत्सुकाय गानमत्ताय गानोत्सुकमनसे गुरुपूजिताय गुरुदैवताय गुरुकुलस्थायिने गुरुविक्रमाय गुह्यप्रवराय गुरवे गुणगुरवे गुरुदैत्यकलक्षेत्रे गुरुधर्म सदाराध्याय गुरुपुत्र परित्रात्रे गुरुपाखण्ड खण्डकाय गीतसाराय गीततत्त्वाय गीतगोत्राय धीमहि गूढ गन्धगुल्फाय गन्धमत्ताय गोजयप्रदाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि
एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि सर्वराजाय गन्धाय सर्वगानश्रवणप्रणयिने गाढानुरागाय ग्रन्थाय गीताय ग्रन्थार्थतत्त्वविदे गुणवते गणपतये
ग्रन्थगीताय ग्रन्थगेयाय ग्रन्थान्तरात्मने गीतलीनाय गीताश्रयाय गीतवाद्यपटवे गेयचरिताय गायकवराय गन्धर्वप्रियकृते कायकाधीन विग्रहाय गङ्गाजलप्रणयवते गौरीस्तनन्दनाय गौरीहृदयनन्दनाय गौरभानुसुताय गौरीगणेश्वराय गौरीप्रणयाय गौरीप्रवणाय गौरभावाय धीमहि गोसहस्राय गोवर्धनाय गोपगोपाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि
वेलकम टू भारत अन्वेषण, हमारा एक्सप्लोर इंडिया का कार्यक्रम। प्रति इतवार को हम ये कार्यक्रम लेके आते हैं इंडिया के बारे में या भारत के बारे में कुछ अजीब सा, कुछ यूनिकनेस जो है लेके आते हैं, चाहे वो जगह हो या म्यूजिशियन हो या आर्टिस्ट हो या कोई ऐसे पर्सनालिटी हो जो बड़ा यूनिक है। तो आज जो है हम जगह का नाम आपको ऑलरेडी पता है, जो थीम भी हमने पब्लिश किया हुआ है पोस्टर के जरिए या यूट्यूब लिंक के जरिए। आप सबको स्वागत करता हुआ आपका दोस्त राजीव कुलकर्णी। आज का दिन सितंबर 10, 2023। आप सोच रहे होंगे कि आज क्या हो गया, राजीव का जो बैकग्राउंड है कुछ अलग सा लग रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है कि कोई कमरे में बैठा हूँ। हाँ जी, जरूर कमरे में बैठा हूँ, लेकिन आज मैं अपने भारत में हूँ और भारत से ये हम स्ट्रीम कर रहे हैं, तो इसलिए भारत अन्वेषण का और भी कुछ मजेदार बातें जरूर होएगी। और आज का जो हम अन्वेषण लेके आ रहे हैं वो है अजंता केव्स के बारे में, पार्ट नंबर 2। यस, पार्ट नंबर 2। और जो उसके बारे में बात करेंगे और कोई नहीं, हमारे अपने जो प्रियांक नायक जो है, बहुत मतलब ये ऐसे केव्स के बारे में है या हिस्टोरिकल प्लेसेस के बारे में वो काफ़ी सारे जानकारी लिए हुए हैं और जानकारी किया भी है और काफ़ी रिसर्च भी किया है और विजिट भी किया है। इनफैक्ट उनका मैं फोटो पूछने वाला था कि वो अजंता केव्स के साथ जो फोटो लिया हुआ भी, लेकिन मैं भूल गया, वो मेरा गलती है, क्योंकि आई वांटेड हिम रियली इन फ्रंट ऑफ द केव्स कि भाई दर्शकों को बताऊं कि मैं इधर इधर घूमा हूं, इसके बारे में जानता हूं, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा। प्रियंक, वेलकम अगेन टू भारत अन्वेषण। हाउ आर यू?
I'm well, Raju. How are you? It's
I am
been some
good.
time
I am good.
since
I
we
am
last
good.
did our session.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
happy
yes.
that you are in India. You're
Yes.
looking handsome as always.
थैंक
Yeah,
यू
that's
प्रियंक, थैंक
yeah.
यू थैंक यू वेरी मच। लेकिन दर्शकों को ये भी बताऊं, थोड़ा सा जो टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस हो सकती है बीच बीच में विद प्रियंक्स इंटरनेट बीइंग लिटिल स्लो बिकॉज ऑफ heavy storm and rains which is happening in northeast of United States right now. चलिए हम बातें करेंगे अजंता केव्स के बारे में। हाँ जी, अजंता केव्स के बारे में पार्ट 1 में प्रियंक जो है काफी सारे हमको उसके बारे में जानकारी दी है, लेकिन और भी है जो खजाना मैं बोल सकता हूं, क्योंकि इतना जल्दी से वो हिस्टोरिकल प्लेसेस के बारे में बात करना या इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करना इतना इजी नहीं है। बहुत सारे उसमें रिसर्च जाता है, बहुत सारे स्टडी करना पड़ता है, और अपना खुद का भी जो नॉलेज होता है वो भी इम्प्लीमेंट करके प्रियंक जो भी है हम हमारे साथ आज शेयर करेंगे, दैट विल बी रियली वर्थ लिसनिंग और वर्थ वाचिंग। क्योंकि यूट्यूब चैनल हमेशा ये रेडी रहेगा आपको देखने के लिए। अगर आप अभी लाइव नहीं देख सकते हैं कोई बात नहीं, बाद में भी देख सकते हैं, बट जो भी लाइव देख रहे हैं उनके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद बोलता हूं, और जो सारे सपोर्टर्स हैं उनको भी बहुत बहुत थैंक यू बोलता हूं। और प्लस हमारा ANV पर्सपेक्टिव संदीप सदानंदप्पा जो हमारे टेक्निकल गुरु है, हमेशा तैयार रहते हैं अपने जो इक्विपमेंट या अपने जो एक्टिविटीज और जो सपोर्ट करने के लिए। थैंक यू वेरी मच संदीप। लेट्स जंप ऑन टू अपना अजंता केव। सो प्रियंक, आप आज कैसे मतलब फॉर्मेटिंग हम लोग करें, या आप बताइए प्लीज।
So I'll start with a brief introduction of myself.
ठीक है।
So people who don't know me, I'm a principal software engineer. I work with fintech and investment banks, and I'm also an aficionado of historical explorations, with a penchant for places of profound historical significance, UNESCO sites, and things like that. And in an endeavor to better appreciate and convey the essence of these remarkable locales, I indulge in a bit of research also.
Excellent.
So the idea is this helps me experience history rather than just observe it. So my passion for history is driven by this conviction that understanding the past enriches our perception of the present. It helps us fully appreciate our life right now. And in likewise, to fully appreciate the historical sites, I do engage in a bit of research. It involves exploration of authoritative texts, some online resources, some articles. And this basically helps me understand the place not merely as a tourist, but as a traveler, ready to unearth the layers of history that lie beneath the surface. So with that in mind, actually Ajanta was the first place that got me interested in all these things. I stay very close to Ajanta. It's like 50 kilometers from where I grew up, which is Jalgaon. So I've visited Ajanta Caves many times, both guided visits, visited on my own with some friends, relatives, and things. So that kind of helped me get a very good understanding of that place, not only from a tourist perspective, but from a historical point of view. And also multiple visits help me understand the art a bit better than just spending a couple of hours over there. And that actually is something that I really want to share with them. The beauty, the uniqueness of Ajanta. And I hope through this session, if I can, motivate even 4 or 5 people or 5 families to visit Ajanta, that would be mission accomplished for me.
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली ब्रिलियंट, एंड दैट इज व्हाट हमारा मिशन भी, हमारा उद्देश्य भी वही रहता है भारत अन्वेषण में, कि ऐसे कोई यूनिक जगह हो या पर्सनालिटी को लेके आए और ये इंट्रोड्यूस करें इस प्लेटफॉर्म के जरिए। चलिए आप कंटिन्यू करिए प्लीज।
So हम क्या करते हैं, पहले जो लास्ट सेशन में हमने थोड़ा कवर किया था उसका रिकैप करते हैं थोड़ा.
Recap.
Yes. So just so Ajanta Caves are, in my opinion, an incredible collection of close to 30 caves, which are Buddhist cave monuments, and they date back from 2nd century BCE to around 480 CE. So if you think about it, it's not years of work, but generations of work. Right? It spans close to 600 years. So the stunning caves are nestled in Aurangabad district of Maharashtra, which is now renamed as Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj Sambhajipur, and and they have earned themselves a very well-deserved spot in UNESCO World Heritage List. So they are considered masterpieces of Buddhist religious art. You will find paintings, rock-cut sculptures that are among the finest examples of ancient Indian arts. The paintings in particular are very well known across the world, especially for their expressive portrayal of emotions through gestures, poses, forms, and also the history that they narrate, because they have been in making for so long. Now, the construction of these caves happened in two phases. The first phase was kicked off around 2nd century BC, and the second phase, so it continued from 2nd century BC to maybe 1st century AD, and then the second phase started from 400 to 500 CE.
Okay.
And according to recent findings, there was also a very short burst between 460 to 480 CE. The caves, they are just not work of art, but they served quite a few purposes. They were ancient monasteries called as viharas, worship halls, chaityas. The monks also stayed there. So these caves are carved in a 75-meter rock wall. And inside you can spot paintings illustrating past lives and rebirths of Gautam Buddha, stories of Jata Kamala, and rock-cut sculptures of Buddhist idols. And historical records also suggest that these caves offered shelter to monks during monsoon season, provided resting place for merchants and pilgrims in ancient India. So it basically is on a route which was a very famous merchant route, which went all the way from Central Asia to Orient in China, Japan. So it kind of lies in the center of this spot, and so there was a lot of merchant activity, a lot of trading that happened, and those people also contributed a huge sum of monies for basically construction of these caves. And basically you will see the caves like so the caves are numbered from 1 to 30. So 1 to 29. So there is a 15A, and so cave number 15 is divided into parts. And caves 1 to 16 and 17 are like the must-visit caves. They hold the largest collection of surviving ancient Indian wall paintings. So not only the paintings that are there are very beautiful, but they have a very profound place in the history of Indian art, especially the wall paintings. And interestingly, these caves actually were hidden away in jungle until they were accidentally stumbled upon by a British officer named Captain John Smith, and that too on a tiger hunting expedition in 1890. So talk about a serendipitous find, right?
Right.
So that is basically a brief history. And for all those who are planning to visit, the best time to explore this place is between November and August. You will find, so these caves, like I mentioned, are 100 kilometers from Sambhajinagar, which has an airport. And also they are like 50 kilometers from Jalgaon, place where I was born and raised. And that is also a very major railway junction in Maharashtra.
Okay.
So Yeah. So just I would share one small picture which in essence captures the captures basically what Ajanta
Caves.
what what
Yeah.
Ajanta Caves. So
Yeah.
let me share my screen. Just give me a second.
So दर्शकों को बताऊं कि भाई प्रियांक is also sharing a very good presentation about the caves जैसे आप देख रहे हैं ये. So yes, प्रियांक.
तो ये केव नंबर 1 है. तो आप अगर देखोगे यहाँ पे द मोस्ट फेमस अजंता पेंटिंग which is Padmapali, or the caves look like these. So there is this central hall where you worship. Most of the caves have uh, Gautam Buddha statue in it. And then there is artwork on the pillars, surrounding walls, ceilings. So you'll see some portion of artwork on the ceiling also. So this is Cave 1, and I think the Archaeological Survey of India has also done a marvelous job in maintaining and preserving these things, also the lights, and so that this experience is very unique.
Yeah.
So I think this one picture covers a whole lot that Ajanta has to offer.
So beautiful it is. Very beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. So जैसे प्रियांक जी ने एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं कि भाई कितना पुराना ये अजंता केव्स बना था, मतलब कितना पुराना. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट लाइक आई थिंक ही वाज टेलिंग अराउंड 8 BC समथिंग लाइक दैट, एंड विच इज लाइक बहुत बहुत पुराना केव्स है. और जैसे ब्रिटिश सोल्जर ने जो है ही हैपन टू नो दिस जब हंटिंग में जा रहे थे. सो एंड दैट इज हाउ दिस गॉट एक्सप्लोर्ड, राइट. तो इतना मतलब सुंदर पेंटिंग, हाउ दे कुड डू इट एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ मटेरियल्स दे वुड हैव यूज्ड.
ये काफी अच्छा क्वेश्चन है. तो एक्चुअली जो आपने ब्रिटिश सोल्जर के बारे में बात की, मैं जस्ट एक छोटी चीज ऐड करना चाहूंगा.
प्लीज
लाइक एवरी आर्केटाइप टिपिकल ब्रिटिश सोल्जर जो हमारे मूवीज वगैरह में दिखाते हैं, उन्होंने अपना नाम एक स्टैचू पे he just carved his name on one of the statues, right? I mean, so typical. And so that is basically what what is funny, and I always mention that whenever I get a chance. So when it comes to the way these materials and paints etc. are used, there are numerous controversies surrounding the processes and materials involved. And I think that is very very much to be expected, because the caves took like were in a building process for like 700 years. So quite many things might have changed, but yet it is so the Ajanta frescoes. So basically those are the paintings come under frescoes, generally dry frescoes. So those are characterized by their classical nature and the confident work of the artist. So these artists were not novice. And what it suggests is that there was a lot of experimentation that happened even before the Ajanta caves were built to come to a technique or to arrive to a technique which was sophisticated and could stand the test of time. Right? So these paintings exude a sense of luxury, sensuousness that celebrates physical beauty, natural beauty, and basically, like I already mentioned, that this was the place of religious worship, so it has a lot of details about the religious symbols and religious tales. So the process and materials, like I said, there are various controversies because they emerged over a period of time, and they are very similar to some of those paintings are styles are very similar to the fresco buono Italian technique, which basically is wet fresco,
Yeah.
and some of the paintings are dry frescoes or even tempera style.
Mm.
So, and that is observed. So, how these things were inferred is because some of the paintings have faded and they show the plaster behind them. And studying that plaster, basically, it is a very thin layer or delicate layer of white plaster on which they have done these paintings. And the materials used basically so in the preparations, so let's break the materials. Let's come to the plaster first and then to the paints. So the initial layer that they have is of the rock. So so what the uncut caves also suggest is that they made the surface rough so that the surface could hold the plaster, and the initial layer was fashioned from a mixture of soil, cow dung, sand.
Oh.
In some caves, it is corn husk, which is applied after roughening the wall. And the corn husk basically, some people say, is a binding agent. So that's how the plaster is binded to the surface. And subsequently, a thin layer, which is very thin layer like an eggshell. So thick as an eggshell, was applied, meticulously polished to achieve a smooth finish.
Mm.
The precise composition of white layer basically remains uncertain. So how much limestone was used or how much other material was used, that is still not known.
Okay.
But some people say that maybe conch shell dust was also used.
Lovely. So very good explanation, Priyank. Really love the way you're explaining and yeah, the intense knowledge that you're sharing with our viewers. Thank you. अगर किसी ने अभी अभी ज्वाइन किया है वो आपको बता दो, भारत अन्वेषण आज सितंबर 10th का जो एपिसोड है, दिस इज बेस्ड ऑन अजंता केव्स पार्ट नंबर 2. अभी ये जो पेंटिंग के बारे में प्रियांक जी हमको बता रहे थे कि भाई किस तरह से वो मटेरियल यूज करते थे और किया हुआ है, जैसे प्लास्टर हुआ या और भी अलग अलग तरीके के मटेरियल बता रहे हैं, लेकिन उसमें क्या और कौन से टाइप के जो टेक्निक्स इन्वॉल्व थे वो हम जानेंगे थोड़ी से ये छोटा ब्रेक के बाद. अभी आते हैं.
जाएगा चेहरा ये बदल जाएगा, मेरी आवाज ही पहचान है, गर याद रहे.
मुझे तो याद हो गया, आपको याद है? सुनाइए ना, सुनाइए ना.
नाम गुम जाएगा, चेहरा ये बदल जाएगा, मेरे आवाज ही पहचान है, गर
पहचान है, गर याद रहे।
भारत अन्वेषण कार्यक्रम में आप सबको स्वागत करता हुआ आपका दोस्त, आपका होस्ट राजीव कुलकर्णी और एक बार और एक एपिसोड लेके। आज का एपिसोड का जो महत्वांश है अजंता केव्स पार्ट नंबर 2। हाँ जी, अजंता केव्स पार्ट नंबर 1 हम 2-1 महीने के पहले किया था। वही प्रियांक नायक हमारे जो साथ है, वही हिस्टोरिकल प्लेसेस के बारे में उनको बहुत ज़्यादा उनको इंटरेस्ट है इसमें, इसीलिए वो क्या करते हैं कि हिस्टोरिकल प्लेसेस विजिट करते हैं, वहाँ से जो जानकारी लेना है वो लेके हमारे साथ शेयर करने का और हमारे साथ जुड़े रहने का उन्होंने फैसला लिया है भारत अन्वेषण के साथ। तो इसी जरिए से हम आपको ये कार्यक्रम लेके आते हैं। और अजंता केव्स पार्ट नंबर 2, अभी इसके पहले प्रियांक ने काफी सारे हमारे जो केव्स के जो पेंटिंग्स के बारे में काफी हमको जानकारी दी कि भाई उसमें किस टाइप का मटेरियल यूज होता है, कैसे होता है और कितना पुराना जो पेंटिंग्स है और कितना पुराना ये सारे केव्स बने हुए हैं। लेकिन मेरा अगला क्वेश्चन उनको ये है कि भाई ये जो टेक्निक्स जो यूज किया है वो पेंटिंग्स बनाने का या ये केव्स में जो वॉल पेंटिंग बनाने का, वो टेक्निक्स किस तरह का टेक्निक्स होएगी प्रियांक जी? आप म्यूट पर है।
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
टेक्निक्स एक इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है. Most of the people think that these techniques for arts and paintings and things of that nature basically came up in Europe. And a lot of the exponents that they say are basically Europeans who built these techniques and stuff. And there is basically not enough evidence of these techniques anywhere out of in the other world except Europe. So that is basically the reason why many people believe that the art is basically from Europe. That's where it generated, especially painting. But if you look at some of but if you look at some of the techniques that have been used in Ajanta, you will be surprised. So I'll give you one example of the technique, which is basically which they call as connecting link composition. So so if you look at European paintings, it's generally everything in a frame, right? That's how their paintings are. They depict everything in one frame. But in Ajanta, you will notice paintings which have panoramic view effect. So what I mean is, let's suppose you are sitting inside a train near a window, and the train is moving. So you will see not just what you see from the window, but the whole view, the whole scenery, the whole nature outside, or whatever you see outside. That would be the panoramic view. So there are paintings over here which basically have that kind of a panoramic view. And the people from art, see, I'm not a student of art, but whatever I've researched, they basically mention this as composition linking, where they have one link, one composition, one frame, and then next to it is basically a frame where something else is happening, right? And they are interconnected. So that is basically one of the very good techniques. And this technique is used because they want to show different tales from Jakarta. So one of the reasons of that is basically that is one of the painting techniques. The second thing, I'll just share my screen to give you a good example of that.
Sure.
Yes. So if you see my screen now, hope it is visible. Yes.
Yes.
So if you see, this is the panoramic view that I was talking about, the composition that I was talking about. Now, if you look at European paintings or paintings anywhere in the world, all the figures basically look at one place, right? So they are towards tree, towards an object, towards a central figure. So that is how the painting looks like. But if you notice this painting, there are different people looking at different directions. So they basically blur the line between one story versus the other. So if you see this central figure of Buddha, all the story, this particular frame over here, you will notice that this is related to this story, while something else is happening over here.
Hmm.
So this is basically one of the uh, examples of connecting links, and this is very fascinating. So if you think about it, this is, like I said, this is a work of very confident artists. It's not a novice work, and if and this basically requires a lot of planning. It's not like it's not a vision of one person. So meticulous planning, meticulous architecture has gone into this, and they even have constructed caves in a way that uh, they consider the viewpoint of one person, and so the distance from the wall is such that you can see the panoramic, right? If they have a panoramic view and the viewer is standing very close to the view, you won't appreciate that, right? So the depth of the cave, the way the cave is built, where the assembly hall is, from that point you see the whole panoramic view. And if you think of Indian culture, the way we use paintings is basically to explain things, right? To enhance spirituality, to enhance certain knowledge that we have. And just focusing on one frame won't help you do that, won't help you build the perspective. So having a panoramic kind of a painting can help you look at various stages, look at the story, look at the whole picture, look at transitions that happened during the life of Gautam Buddha. So I personally feel that this particular technique is very fascinating, and there are many such other techniques where they have used compositions to different kind of compositions, different kind of structures, different kind of architecture styles of constructions also to maximize the effect of the paintings. The paintings on the pillar would be very different from the paintings on the walls. The size of the paintings are from a small frame to a very big panoramic scale painting. So yeah, so that is one of the very fascinating things about it. So you don't even so you even understand the history, you even understand the spirituality, you appreciate the paintings, and one thing I would like to mention about these paintings is that you will see the history. You will see a time lapse also. So you will see that. Uh, so you will figure out what was happening during that phase. So there is use of blue color that basically comes from Afghanistan. Some rocks that come from Afghanistan. There is there are mentions of foreign travelers, people from African descent. So you could make out even the trade relations that we had during that time.
Wow.
So I find this fascinating, and also there are certain other techniques that have been used for conveying different 3D effects, different features. So yes,
Excellent.
It's really very fascinating and amazing.
Yeah, I can see that looking at the painting itself, I am just speechless, and just I've been staring at the painting ever since you started sharing your screen. इसमें डेफिनेटली जैसे आपने बताया है कि भाई अलग अलग स्टोरीज छुपे हुए हैं इस पेंटिंग में, जैसे आपने बोला कि भाई अगर लोगों को देखेंगे तो they are all looking at different directions, and which actually tells the story of each individual portion of it, we can say that, and that's absolutely brilliant. And मुझे लगा कि आपने कुछ 3D के बारे में कुछ बोला, and why it appears like that. जो 3D.
Yes. So actually, this also points to. So when I say 3D, it actually appears that uh, there is a third dimension, and
Okay.
this is very unique in ancient arts, and mostly this is uh, this is very uh, this is uh, I'm searching for the right word. This is very prominent in the paintings in Ajanta.
Okay. Okay.
And there are several techniques that they have used to basically have this kind of effect generated. So I'll speak about a few. It's very hard to go into all of these.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I just share a few techniques. One is like producing depth and relief. So what is that the artist uses a variety of techniques to produce illusion of third dimension. So one is like a perspective, an example of so that technique is called perspective. I'll show you one example of the perspective painting.
Please.
So yeah, so let me share my screen. So you notice this? So it gives you a 3D impression, right? So
Right.
you can make out that the objects are closer, objects are far. So yes, so this is one. Then there are ways that they have used shading, different lights, and things like that. So this is one painting where you
Wow.
could
So
see this
beautiful.
white color is used in a way to showcase depth over here, right? So this is one. Then there is multiple. So this is basically multiple views. So if you see, I tried to break it down so that we can I can show it. So this is a pavilion, and if you see the way they have, these are several shots of that pavilion, and the picture you can see down below that it looks like this pavilion is ahead of others, right? So it gives
Yes.
viewers a perspective. So this is a multi-vision technique that has been used. Similarly, there is work of shading that is there. Then, so you can see over here that work. So there are various techniques that are used. I mean, I can. What I'll do is I'll just name them so that you can. If you hear these words, the viewers might know that these are also some things which have been present in our Indian ancient art and culture. So basically, like I said, there is multivision, then there is uh, animnota, which is a flat style that uses dark colors for the subjects in the foreground and lighter colors for the lighter colors or shades in for the objects in the backgrounds. And Ari Rika, which is basically illusion of depth by executing tonal variations and avoiding hard lines. And we just looked at a technique of adding highlights where white patches were added on the cheeks and chin and nose, etc. Right, to have three-dimensional effects.
Right.
Yes. So these are various. These are basically various techniques. I'll just show one more of the Arikira technique, which so this is so this technique, the Arikira technique, is nothing but using basically executing tonal variations and avoiding hard lines in the paintings. So let me share my screen. I'll bring that up.
People are commenting. It's a very interesting conversation, very insightful. Okay,
Thank you.
that's yeah, that's very
So this
nice.
is basically, if you see, there is very so the hard lines are avoided. So if you look at this chicken over here, which is in the paint, you will see that it is. You will see the hand is holding the chicken. So hand is ahead of the chicken,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you will see that the hands are also rounded. So this is one technique which shows three-dimensional. And then there are also some ways where they have made the plaster in a way that the shamianas, etc., look like they. So you will find waves of shamianas being created.
Excellent.
So yeah, so that is so those are some of the 3D techniques that are used. Even there is 3D in sculptures also. The way they have placed the sculptures is very fascinating. You will see that all the sculptures are looking towards you all the time. So yeah, so basically that is a way to portray that your all good deeds, bad deeds are watched by and are noticed. So yeah, so quite a few fascinating things in the way uh, they have come up with these techniques. And
Excellent.
one interesting thing I want to also mention is, if you think
Yes.
about it, these are caves, right? There is no light in it, right? So the way so some of the people say that the way they produce light inside the caves was collecting water outside and then reflecting the sun beams inside the caves.
Wow.
Because if they use fire and things like that, those paintings might be damaged, right? Once once you have a wall that is there, you cannot use fire. It could dry out few things and not help them produce the desired effect.
Right.
So there was water collected, and those rays of light were reflected inside the caves, and it gave them good white light to basically color the paintings. So the colors also appeared very true. So the artist knew exactly how how much color to use, what is the shade of the color that will look like in the daylight, and that all basically help uh, producing this marvelous pieces of art that are present in Ajanta Caves.
Excellent. Very well explained, Priyank. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back with the beautiful session that would be the different varieties or significant statues of Ajanta के बारे में जानेंगे, लेकिन एक छोटे ब्रेक के बाद.
यादों में वो सपनों में है, जाए कहाँ धड़कन का बंधन तो धड़कन से है। सांसों से हूँ मैं कैसे जुदा, अपनों को दूँ मैं कैसे भुला। यादों में वो सपनों में है, जाए कहाँ धड़कन का बंधन तो धड़कन से है। सपना खड़ा जाना है मुश्किल मेरा, यादों में वो सपनों में है, जाए धड़कन का बंधन तो धड़कन से है।
नमस्कार सबको, भारत अन्वेषण में स्वागत करता हुआ आपका दोस्त राजीव कुलकर्णी फिर एक बार। आज का दिन सितंबर 10th 2023 और आज हमारे बीच है मिस्टर प्रियंक नायक हु कम्स फ्रॉम ओरिजिनली फ्रॉम जलगांव, जहां पे ये अजंता केव्स इज ओनली 50 किलोमीटर्स फ्रॉम हिज प्लेस एंड ही हैज विजिटेड दैट प्लेस मल्टीपल टाइम्स। और इसी वजह से उन्होंने कुछ रिसर्च भी किया है एंड ही हैज पैशन ऑफ विजिटिंग हिस्टोरिकल प्लेसेस एंड ही हैज केप्ट दैट पैशन गोइंग ऑन। और इसीलिए वो भारत अन्वेषण में हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं हिस्टोरिकल प्लेसेस। और हिस्टोरिकल का एपिसोड हम लोग हर महीने सोचा है कि एक लेके आएंगे, ताकि आपको हर एक ऐसे यूनिक जगह पे लेके जाएंगे और यूनिक उस जगह के बारे में यूनिक जो भी चीज़ है वो बताना कोशिश करेंगे। चलिए, एक सबसे पहले तो मैं थैंक यू बोलना चाहूँगा सबको जो भी वॉच कर रहा है या देख रहे हैं शो को, बिकॉज 1 hour सिटिंग कंटिन्यूसली इज़ नॉट ईजी और वॉचिंग, और इसलिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और जो हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं मिस्टर संदीप सदानंदप्पा A&B पर्सपेक्टिव बेंगलोर में, तो उनको भी मैं बहुत बहुत थैंक यू बोलना चाहता हूं। और आज मैं बेंगलोर से ही बोल रहा हूं, इंडिया में, हमारे भारत में हूं, इसलिए आपको थोड़ा सा मेरा बैकग्राउंड गेटअप भी थोड़ा अलग लग रहा है। चलिए, अभी एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट सेक्शन मैं बोल सकता हूं या सेशन बोल सकता हूं, जो है सिग्निफिकेंट स्टैच्यूज ऑफ अजंता केव्स। वो क्या है प्रियंक जी?
So most of the people, they feel that Ajanta is probably has paintings, and that I think that is built because Ajanta is more famous for paintings. The specimen of paintings that we find in Ajanta are the vintage, and the specimens that we find is very rare to find anywhere in India. So Ajanta kind of gained importance because of the paintings. But there are some significant statues, and the way these things develop was the caves, they were developed in 2 phases, right? So from BC, second BCE to I'll say first BCE, these caves, the statue, the Buddha was not worshipped in a statue form. So there were stupas, and mostly people worshipped Buddha in some kind of an symbol, mostly a foot or a tree, sometimes even an elephant, and majorly the monks worshipped stupas which were known to have some remains of Gautam Buddha. But later, it seems that the devotees wanted a more specific vision or symbol or idea to worship. Right? They wanted to know what they are worshipping, and then the statues of Buddha or the images of Buddha started taking shape. And there is a debate that the earliest impressions were in Ajanta, and those are the impressions that have traveled outside. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll first show the most important statue of Buddha in Ajanta. So this is, let me share my screen. Anyone who has some idea about Ajanta would have seen this statue. So if you see this, yes, so this is reclining Buddha. It is some 20-meter statue, I guess, if my numbers are not correct. And this is the biggest reclining statue, and it is not just a reclining. So there is a very big significance to it. So first thing is it's carved from single stone. Okay, and if you look at it, you will see earth and heaven at the top. So all the images at the bottom are basically earth, or so basically it shows that there is suffering and then there is heaven. The concept of heaven, basically. The way they denoted it would be different. So from that perspective, you will see. Second thing you will notice is that uh, the hand of Buddha almost reaches the knees, right? So this is in I think Sanskrit it is called Ajanubhav. So basically it means yeah. So uh, for some it seems to be a superhuman quality, because most of our devotees, like Lord Rama, was supposed to be Ajanubhav also. So yeah, so here Buddha is shown as Ajanubhav, and if you even notice this particular pillow on which Buddha is reclining, you will see that where the head is resting, you will see a small depression over there.
Yeah.
Right? You'll notice that. So this is basically, this also shows that there is a very, even the technique of creating statues was, or the artisans were very skilled, right? And to give you a perspective how this looks, this is how the cave looks, right? So these are the pillars, and behind that there is the statue, and like I said, two particular rows depicting the heaven and the earth, and Gautam Buddha being there throughout. So this is one of the marvelous statues that is there, and there are then several other statues also showcasing Buddha in different modes. There is one statue where I cannot show you an image of it because it doesn't do justice. But if you portray light from three different angles, you will see three different moods of Buddha. So in one, when the light is from the center, you will see that Buddha is serious. Not serious, but calm.
Yeah.
In a neutral mode. From one side, you will notice that Buddha is angry. And from other side, you will notice that the Buddha is smiling. So if same image, if you put the same statue, if you put a light from three different ways, you will see three different expressions of Buddha. And that is more of, from a tourist perspective, that is more of an attraction. But yeah, so those are a few of the very significant. So most of the monasteries have a statue of Buddha now. Even which didn't start with the statue of Buddha, some of them have carved statues on those two columns. Some of the caves have that impression also. So yes, so those are like very significant, some of the significant statues of Buddha in Ajanta. And in my opinion, you have to visit this reclining statue if you are in Ajanta. Don't miss it.
So दर्शकों को बताओ कि अगर जैसे प्रियांक जी ने बोला कि अगर आपको ये सब एक्सपीरियंस करना है तो आपको डेफिनेटली उधर विजिट करना पड़ेगा, एंड इट इज नॉट वेरी फार फ्रॉम द बिग सिटीज इन महाराष्ट्र. एंड अजंता केव्स के बारे में हमने 2 एपिसोड किया है, और 2 एपिसोड में प्रियांक जी ने हमको बहुत अच्छी तरह से समझाया, इसके बारे में जानकारी दी कि भाई उधर कैसे पेंटिंग्स होते हैं और किस तरह से टेक्निक्स यूज किया गया, किस तरह के मटेरियल यूज किया गया और कितना पुराना है, कैसे डिस्कवर हुआ. ऐसे बहुत सारे चीज ये डेफिनेटली हम भारत अन्वेषण के जरिए लेके आए हैं. और अगर आपको इसके बारे में और जानकारी चाहिए तो आप ये हमारे YouTube चैनल दोबारा देख सकते हैं, और पहले वाला एपिसोड के बारे में भी देख सकते हैं. उसमें भी काफी सारे प्रेजेंटेशन प्रियांक जी ने किया है. तो ऑलमोस्ट अभी प्रियांक, आई डोंट नो हाउ टाइम फ्लू, इट्स ऑलरेडी पास्ट 1 आवर, एंड इट इज सो इंटरेस्टिंग कि भाई जैसे लोगों ने सही बोला है कि इट्स वेरी इंसाइटफुल एंड द वे योर कन्वर्सेशन इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग करके भी बोला है. दैट मीन्स that is the way you have explained it, it has definitely brought the viewers very interesting perspective about this program. तो दर्शकों को ये भी बताऊं, भारत अन्वेषण हर महीने एक हिस्टोरिकल प्लेस के बारे में हम जरूर लेके आएंगे। हमारे साथ हमारे गाइड मैं बोल सकता हूँ प्रियंक जी है, जो बहुत रिसर्च करते हैं इसके बारे में, और हर महीने एक हम लोग ऐसे कोई दिलचस्प वाला जगह के बारे में हम लेके आएंगे जो उसमें बहुत मतलब यूनिकनेस हो। तो ये बोलते हुए प्रियंक, वंस अगेन आई थैंक यू वेरी वेरी मच फॉर योर टाइम टू शेयर दिस इंफॉर्मेशन। एक दो मैसेज आपके थ्रू।
Yeah, thank you, Rajiv. This is a very good platform. I hope मैंने कुछ आपका क्यूरियोसिटी लोगों की बढ़ाई होगी, और
डेफिनेटली।
आप जरूर जाइए। सिर्फ हिस्टोरिकल प्लेस है ऐसे समझ के मत जाइए, बहुत ब्यूटीफुल नेचर भी है। अजंता व्यू पॉइंट करके एक जगह है, वहां से पूरे सारे केव्स दिखते हैं, वाटरफॉल्स है, एक ब्यूटीफुल रिवर है। तो ये रिवर गॉर्ज में ही है। तो इट्स रियली वेरी ब्यूटीफुल, वेरी वेल मेंटेन्ड, very close to big cities, or very good place for a family picnic also. So do visit, and I would say that this is some piece of Indian history that has basically created an impression all over the Orient. The same art you will find in many places in Japan, in Indonesia, and other places also. So it is a very important historical site. So please do visit. It will give you a very fresh perspective about our country, about our culture, and about we Indians as people. So
एक्सलेंट, वेरी वेल सेड प्रियांक। सो ये बोलते हुए थैंक यू अगेन प्रियांक, थैंक यू संदीप फॉर योर कंटिन्यूड सपोर्ट ऑन द टेक्निकल साइड। और दर्शकों को ये बताओ कि अगले हफ्ते जो है हम लोग बहुत ही एक इंटरेस्टिंग पर्सनालिटी को लेके आ रहे हैं। He is called as the Plastic Man of India. That is, Haji, Plastic Man of India. He is called. His name is Dr. Rajgopalan Vasudevan. He is a scientist himself, and he also had worked for ISRO and also a great consultant for ISRO. लेकिन बहुत सारे इंटरेस्टिंग बातें होएगी। ये वाई दिस प्लास्टिक मैन ऑफ इंडिया उनको ये नाम पड़ा। चले तब तक जहाँ पे भी रहिए, खुश रहिए और तंदुरुस्त रहिए, और भारत अन्वेषण कार्यक्रम देखते रहिए। ये बोलता हुआ आपका होस्ट, आपका दोस्त राजीव कुलकर्णी, साइनिंग ऑफ वन मोर एपिसोड ऑफ भारत अन्वेषण। मिलेंगे अगले संडे इसी टाइम में। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
thank you.